Okay, everyone. Next on the main stage, we have Hernando Umana and Carter Easler. We'll be talking about CBD for pets, benefits, risks, and products to use. Welcome, guys.
Hi. Hello, everybody. All right. So we're here representing the animals because they can and do benefit from cannabis just as much as we do, if not more, and we're excited to show you some of the science on that. We started in the pet CBD space about 4 years ago now, and we were met with a lot of skepticism, a lot of questions of why we'd want to get our pets stoned, and a lot of people thinking that this was just going to be a passing fad. We're really happy to say that 4 years later, this is not a passing fad. We actually run our own rescue farm, and I've been able to personally see animals who can barely walk start to run, seizures completely stop, all levels of anxiety go away in minutes, and so much more.
And if we've learned anything from the last year, it's that people are starting to treat their animals more and more like family members. In the last year alone, Americans spent more than $426 million on pet CBD alone, and that's a figure that's expected to grow to $1.1 billion by the year 2025. So people are not stopping with this.
Now, the problem we have is the same problem that we have in the human industry, is the lack of regulation, of course. It's even worse in the pet CBD space. Do you have the...
No.
Oh, well, you keep going. That? So I'll start talking. So actually, 2019, Cornell University did their own study where they purchased 30 pet CBD products on the market and did their own testing. Out of the 30, only 10 were in the 10% cannabinoid ratio that they claimed. Many had heavy metals and pesticides and other very harmful ingredients. Oh, things like stevia. Some didn't even have CBD at all. Of course, if the FDA ever does finally regulate CBD from a plant-based CBD as a supplement, this still leaves out the pet CBD space because according to the Dietary Supplement Health Act of 1994, supplements, this act does not include pet supplements. There are zero regulations for pet supplements. So this is going to be an ongoing problem we're going to have.
And then once we have a safe product, once we know what we're getting, the next hurdle that pet parents face is figuring out understandable confusion around how to determine optimal dosage for their pets, discerning the truth around THC toxicity and the idea of that, and then also, you know, just trying to give CBD to a grumpy cat that does not want to accept it. Today, what we're going to do here is we're going to give you some valuable information that'll show you how you can feel educated in choosing a product that is both safe and effective, whether it's for your business or for your own furry family members. So we're going to talk a little bit about who we are and what we do.
So our journey started with our founder. Her name is Angela Ardolino. She discovered medical cannabis for herself for her rheumatoid arthritis. She threw herself completely in the industry, wanting to learn more. She was invited into the very first class of the University of Vermont's medical cannabis program, which is where she learned animals can benefit from cannabis just as much as we can. And she had started her own rescue farm, so it was just a no-brainer to start. And she brought me on because there's two things in this world I love more than anything. It's pets and cannabis. So my name is Hernando Umana. I am the co-owner of a company called CBD Dog Health, which is a full-spectrum CBD company for animals, all animals. We do tinctures with different essential oils, salves, and of course freeze-dried treats. I also graduated from the University of Vermont's medical cannabis program. On the board for Fireflake Farm, a nonprofit for neglected animals. And we'll talk more about Fireflake Farm in a minute. And I have 2 dogs, one of them whose life completely changed with CBD, and that's kind of how my journey here started.
And my name is Carter Eastler. I'm the Director of Education at CBD Dog Health. So I work with our network of veterinarians across the country, as well as the store owners that we represent, teaching them about the basics of the endocannabinoid system, how to talk to pet parents about this, how to wrap their head around using this as a therapeutic product. I studied medical cannabis and veterinary practice at the College of Integrative Veterinary Technologies. And I also work alongside Hernando and Angela Ardolino at our rescue in Tampa there. And really, Hernando touched on this, but a big focus of ours is this educational piece. And so, we spend a lot of time reading the research and going and talking to people, convening with the veterinarians across the country. We just came from the American Holistic Veterinary Medical Association conference a couple weeks ago, where this stuff is gaining real traction. People are finally starting to read the studies that are out there and understand how applicable these holistic modalities are, including CBD. So, we're meeting with medical professionals, with stores, and really trying to stay in step with a constantly changing industry.
And then, of course, we touched on Fireflake Farm. This is our rescue farm. As you can see, even possums, but chickens, geese, pigs, ducks, donkeys, rabbits. I mean, you name it, we've been able to help with full spectrum CBD, sometimes even for our cancer patients, marijuana-based products. This is one of our chickens. That's our chief vet, Dr. Zach, helping there. Angela rescues a lot of chickens who come in with a lot of problems. We even have, that's Penelope, that's Angela. You can't hear it, but she's about to give a very angry pig, probably a lot of pain, that she rescued.
Yeah, Penelope is a senior pig who was rescued. You can hear her. So Penelope loves her CBD, but she's an older pig with arthritis. She's really sore. She's kind of miserable sometimes, but as you can see, she loves it. She knows what's good for her, and it makes her feel so better. She's able to get around better. All the things that we know cannabis-based therapies like CBD are really great for our dogs, for ourselves. We have to kind of remember that, there's Blanche shaking against a horse. But all these different animals, they have the same system in their body that interacts with cannabis in ours, the endocannabinoid system. This is present throughout all of our pets, through our dogs, through our cats, through our horses, and is able to affect all of those different systems, to modulate and regulate the body's various systems, to bring everything back to homeostasis.
And the amazing thing about this is, so we all have an endocannabinoid system, of course, but studies are showing that dogs actually have even more receptors than we do, specifically within their brain and their spinal cord. So they're very sensitive. A little goes a long way, and this is why we're seeing such incredible results, specifically in dogs.
And that being said, people hear that and hear that dogs are more sensitive to cannabis and to CBD, and they think, well, it's going to hurt my dog. We're going to have issues of toxicity, of it being too strong for them. And what we always rely on is the research that has been done regarding CBD and THC that shows that it is safe even at extremely high doses. So this is from a study that was done at Colorado State University, where they were dosing dogs at various increments, all the way up to hundreds and hundreds of milligrams, almost 690 milligrams in a single dose, which is an astronomical dose. We would never give an animal that kind of dose for their first one. Our most potent tincture that we offer for dogs is around 37 milligrams per dosage. So when we talk about 690, this is beyond the scope of anything that you would regularly give a dog. And then we're talking about a hemp extract, of course. People beyond that are even more afraid of THC, which there should be a little bit in your hemp extract, but people will still say, well, I have to give them, a broad spectrum oil or an isolate because there's THC in it, which can be very toxic to dogs, and that is just not true. Dogs may respond to it more dramatically than humans, but the same studies that have been done on the safety of CBD for dogs has been done with THC, but to even higher degrees. There was a study done at the Mason Research Institute, which is what this first line there is quoting, where they gave dogs up to 9,000 milligrams of intravenous THC in one single dose, which is, you know, in a whole nother ballpark. It would be impossible for you to ever ingest that except by an intravenous dosing, and not in one case did they find that there was a lethal dose for THC. There is no lethal dose for unadulterated, raw, real cannabis.
Yeah, and there's a big difference between THC toxicity and THC intoxication. This is what THC intoxication looks like. Some wobbles, some running around, a little dizzy. That's Lua, one of our dogs, and well, one of our friends' dogs who takes our products. And that's what it looks like. So when you're going to the vet office for THC toxicity, and if you've ever heard of you know, people saying that dogs have died of THC, they did not die of THC. If they're harmed by anything, it's the chocolate, it's the raisins, it's those other things that are in there, but there is no lethal dose for THC.
No, that's not to say that there's not a place where there's too much. You know, there's absolutely, you know, a dosage that is correct and a place at which it is going to be the most effective. We don't want to get our dogs too stoned. It's uncomfortable for them. They don't need to be there, but there are certain cases where this is absolutely necessary, and the therapeutic benefits outweigh the costs of a little bit of intoxication. So next, we're just going to go through some of the research for specific conditions that CBD and cannabis-based therapies have been shown to be really effective.
And just to know, all these studies are using a full spectrum extract, meaning that there is THC in it. So if Cornell and Baylor and CSU and all these people think it's good enough to use and safe enough to use, you should feel comfortable too.
So the first one where we really started getting canine-specific research in the industry is from Cornell. And this study came out in 2019, I believe, where they were testing, again, varying degrees of CBD dosages in healthy beagles for osteoarthritis. And they had incredible results. In all cases, they saw the severity of the inflammation and the discomfort and pain go down by enormous magnitudes. We got another study shortly thereafter from Baylor College of Medicine, and the lead researcher on there is quoted as saying, "I openly admit I was surprised at how quickly we saw such large results. I would have not expected to see too much of anything in just 1 month." And that's really kind of the story that we get from a lot of the veterinarians that we work with who are trying this for the first time. They have the same reservations that a lot of people do, and they go, okay, well, I saw it, and it actually is working.
The next one is from Colorado State University, and this is the first epilepsy study done. They're actually doing a second one right now, Dr. Stephanie McGrath. And yeah, dogs had an 89% reduction in seizures. So just like us, it's helping with seizures and epilepsy.
And just to give you some context, you know, the main anti-epileptic drug that veterinarians use today is called phenobarbital. That drug is considered successful when it's above a 50% threshold of seizure reduction. So we are way beyond that using a hemp extract. We're at 89% when 50% is considered successful with phenobarbital. And phenobarbital has a lot of negative effects. I am not a veterinarian. I am not here to give medical advice, but there is a lot of stress that goes onto the liver, onto the kidneys and the filtration organs, as well as just the changes in quality of life that come with something that is a neurological suppressant the way that something like that is. So these are incredible alternatives to drugs that, or alternatives or supplements to these drug therapies with very little interaction.
Of course, we all know it's a neuroprotectant and an antioxidant. Even the United States government knew that when they got their patent in 2003. And there's two studies that we want to touch on that are in this presentation. One specific to skin, showing how much it can help in a multitude of skin conditions, tumors, cysts. Dogs have, just like us, receptors all over their skin, both CB1 and CB2. Some studies showing that they might even have more than we do within their skin. And then just last year, we got our very first dog-specific cancer study that was done on cancer cells. but it showed the same exact thing that we've known in the human side, that it triggered apoptosis, that it stopped the spreading, that it stopped the blood vessels that feed the tumors. We have one of our own dogs right now with osteosarcoma, which usually the longest they live is about 9 months, and that's with traditional treatment. She's 15 months in, no chemotherapy, no radiation. All she's doing is THC, a good amount, CBD, mushrooms, and a little ozone therapy. So this is an amazing option if you don't want to go the conventional route.
Absolutely. And, you know, we've talked about such a broad range of different conditions. The one that we kind of have left out that a lot of people think of first is like, oh, is it going to calm my dog down? That's the first thing that people ask you if you're using CBD. And that is absolutely one of the ways that this can be used. But one thing that we want to draw attention to is people really want this to be as simple as, how much does my dog weigh? How much should I give them? And unfortunately, that is just not the best way to talk about optimal dosage for pets.
Yeah, dosing, just like us, depends on what we need, our endocannabinoid system, our deficiencies, what ailments. A small dog with cancer is going to need a lot more than a big dog with anxiety. Even 2 levels of anxiety, it's about their specific needs. So as we've seen in the studies, it's completely safe at astronomical doses. So feel comfortable doing a little bit of trial and error. Keep a journal on hand. Track how much you're giving, when you're giving, how you're giving it. Doing it on the gums is much more bioavailable and much more effective than it is putting it on the food, for example. So these things really, really matter. And I wish, I run the marketing department at CBD Dog Health, and I wish it could be as easy as telling you my dog weighs 10 pounds, this is how much to give it. It would make my job so much easier, but it's not like that. We really have to take in consideration their specific needs and knowing that it's incredibly safe.
Absolutely. So now we want to tell you kind of like, before we go, what are some quick tips that we can give you of how to choose a product that is both safe and effective? This is kind of our checklist that we go through to determine that. The first thing that we really want to focus on is that it is an unadulterated extract, that it is a full spectrum hemp extract, that nothing has been taken out, nothing has been put in. This plant can be grown in a way that the right cannabinoids are in there for a different variety of conditions. And so when we say full spectrum extract, we mean that it has a broad range of cannabinoids, that it has terpenes, that it has these flavonoids present in there, because as soon as you start isolating and adulterating it, according to research, the incidence of side effects and its efficacy, side effects go up, efficacy goes down.
Yeah, and you don't need chicken flavor or bacon flavor, or any of this stuff that actually is harmful to them. They need pure cannabis, period.
Yeah, the next thing that we really recommend and is essential, something that is quite standard in the industry now, is that there is a certificate of analysis. Not only that they provide a certificate of analysis, but it is readily available. It should be something that they should be proud of. They should be able to say, look at all the good stuff in this extract. Look at the broad range of cannabinoids that we have. And not only that, but what else is not in there. So all the pesticides, pathogens, heavy metals, all those things that you want to make sure are definitely not in there, because as we know, when hemp is in crappy soil, it is going to accumulate all of those heavy metals and everything that is in the soil that you do not want your pet to be ingesting for a therapeutic product. Next, the thing that you want to make sure is that the manufacturing processes are such that you are differentiating yourself as a high quality therapeutic grade product. So, similar to in other human industries or other pet industries where we're giving our pets kind of the worst part of our food or our supplements. They get the lower quality kind of like throwaway parts. That exists in the pet industry as well. So you want to make sure that whatever company you're working with is harvesting from the best parts of the plant. At CBD Dog Health, we're only harvesting from the buds of hemp plants that are grown organically in Colorado, in the United States. So harvested from the buds, US grown, organic. The other thing that you want to think about is the way that it is extracted. Different extraction processes may leave behind additional solvents. So for instance, we use supercritical CO2 extraction. This is just one of the ways that it can be extracted. And and you can see a lot about the extraction process, not only by just asking them, but by looking at that certificate of analysis to make sure that there are none of those residual solvents. And then, so in addition, you want to make sure that there's the carrier oil that you're using has a high bioavailability. So that means that the body can readily absorb the cannabinoids and bioactive compounds that are in there.
Yeah, here's an example of a certificate of analysis. All the cannabinoid ratios, making sure that it is below that 0.3% THC to be that full spectrum extract. Especially if you're talking to veterinarians, it's so important to keep it under that 0.3%, because once we go over, their license can be in jeopardy. Showing the amount of terpenes, and then of course showing that there's nothing harmful. Labeling, again, super important. We always make sure to provide a QR code. Visibility and transparency is number one. So we want you guys to be able to find the certificate of analysis as easy as possible. Marking, of course, how much full spectrum is in the whole bottle and per milliliter.
So if there's anything that's clear, is that there's so much therapeutic potential to using cannabis extract and CBD with our pets with very little risk.
Yeah, you know, this market is saturated for humans, and we have to remember that when we took away cannabis from us, we took it away from them as well, and they can benefit from it just as much, if not more, than we can, and we cannot leave them out of the conversation. And it starts with you guys. It starts with you guys asking your veterinarian, and they're probably going to be skeptical, and they're probably going to be scared, and they're probably going to tell you that it's toxic and it's going to kill them. As you can see, it's not. But this is what we do. We educate. This is all we do. And if you have a veterinarian that you feel is willing to learn or has questions, you can always refer them over to us. Veterinarians, vet techs, even you guys. We will provide the research. And we just really want to make sure that our animals are taken care of naturally. And yeah.
You can find us on pretty much any social platform. On Facebook at CBD Dog Health, www.cbddoghealth.com, on Instagram as well. If you go on to our live chat on our website, it is all monitored by veterinary technicians who have access to the latest science to this and can advise you specifically on and give you real information, not just buy our products. Our focus is education and making sure that you can make the right decision for yourself and for your pet.
We also have two incredible veterinarians on staff. One of them is actually joining as an owner, and we have a full board of advisors of amazing holistic and integrated veterinarians all over the country. So if you're looking for someone, we can help. Even if they're not in your state, we can help you find a veterinarian and provide online consultations. And we go much further than cannabis. Cannabis is what we really do, but we're going to talk to you about a full-rounded, holistic approach that includes cannabis. We love what we do. We love animals. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to come ask us.
Yeah, we'll stick around if anybody has some questions.
We got 5 minutes. Does anybody have any questions
yeah.
here?
Do you want to know about your dog? We can talk to you about specific things. You got a question? What's up?
So I got a Shiba Inu. He's a very energetic dog, and I don't want him to like calm down. You know, like I want him to stay an energetic dog, but I want him to enjoy the benefits as well. Usually, it's kind of difficult to do both because whenever you give him CBD or something, they'll like mellow down, and that's not what I want for him because he's a very energetic breed. So in that sense, like, what could I, offer him?
So I would say kind of the first thing that you're talking about, you're hinting at it is like finding the right dosage for him is going to be a game of trial and error. And starting what we say is in the industry is like start low and go slow. You start with a low dose and you just slowly titrate up and kind of push that threshold of like, okay, I'm starting to see him calm down, and be consistent with it because, a lot of people give up after the first week of trying it, but be consistent with it. Test that dose and see where it's at. And you should be able to find a level at which he's going to calm down and not be sedated, because I totally know what you mean about that sedative effect. It's very real. And then, you know, the other thing that we talk to people a lot about is CBD is great on its own, but it has to be paired with, you know, a lot of exercise. Lifestyle. We talk to people all the time who are like, I just got a new puppy and he's so annoying. He has so much energy. Can I just give him a bunch of CBD? And it's like, you're not going to CBD a puppy away. You know, he's still going to be a puppy. And I'm sure that that's not what you're doing or what you're asking. Yeah. So yeah, I would just be patient. And like Hernando said, make a journal. Like if you just have a journal with like days of the week, and you can make it on a scale of 10, of 1 to 10. Like today I gave him, I gave him 5 milligrams, and he brought from a 10 down to a 7. Okay, so tomorrow I'm going to give him 8 milligrams, you know?
Any other questions? Awesome. Well, thanks
you
so
so
much for
much.
having us, guys. We'll be here if anybody has any questions.
Thank you.